of you know how the microphone works.
I've had a couple of these in my hands, and it's always dangerous to give an announcer a microphone, especially when you have a timed event.
I don't see bands playing anybody on.
Okay, we'll be around.
Look at that guy up there in that picture, talking to Gary Powers. Can you even reflect for a moment just on this experience at an event?
It's really hard to do because as you're doing it, you know, you never think it's going to come to an end, and you never realize how many years you put in doing it. When you say 33 years, it sounds like an awfully long time, but it seems that it went by so quickly. And I enjoyed so much of it, and I relate to it, some of that to you tonight, and some of the notes that I have of people that are very special to me. But Brian, it's really hard to understand how you go through that. You started in 1975, and then 2008. 1975, I think the year 2000 will never come. So it's interesting how it all matriculates and goes down and finally get there.
You and I have talked about a couple of your stories. You have hundreds of them. And of course, Dan tells them better than anybody. Obviously because he was there and experienced it, but you're so great just with putting words together. You're an inspiration to broadcasters like myself and some of our staff. But Snowball to you is 91. And apparently there was a bit of a technicality or technical difficulty in the booth.
You know, Mike was talking about what he did on the field, and that's what everybody was interested in. And certainly, it was the highlight. That's why everybody was there. Well, we were in the booth, and as it started to, the weather changed and the snow came, our window in front of us fogged up. So suddenly we couldn't see the field. So we opened the windows and, oh, that's fine, it's a little cold, who cares, we can see the field. Somebody brought a batch of stats in, opened the door, the wind came, our notes in there, out the window, into the stands, and then the rest of the game we did by memory. So it was a different snowball for me because the information that you prepare for a game, we only had for about 2/3 of the game.
Imagine about sitting in the 5th row and suddenly Dan Gustin's stats land in your lap. I can only imagine that. Now you've traveled so much with this team and been around with this team. You told me that traveling with Coach Holt, Coach would sit front, left, right there, right up front. Whoever your color man was, and there have been so many, would sit against the window and you would sit in the middle seat. You chose the middle seat intentionally because you wanted to pick Coach's brain on the way to a football game.
Thank you very much, that's well put. I didn't choose it, I was selected to be there by CA. He selected that I would be there. So, we were talking earlier about it. For those of you who remember, and certainly the players, we flew on one of the great airlines of all time, Great American Airways. Great America had one plane, and usually it was service. We were talking earlier, we made a trip one year from Reno to Sacramento to fuel up to fly to Boise. That's true story. I remember Matt Rippey saying one time, we had great problems, so the plane was late in leaving the airport. We had great problems, and he said, well, we're only going over to Ogden, but they have a net at the end of the runway anyway, so let's go. But the story that is most enjoyable to me, and I told him when Chris Holt retired at the El Dorado, was the year that we flew to northern Arizona. It was the final game of the Big Sky Conference. It was in November. So the plane was loaded, obviously, with players, coaches, and some boosters who were on the plane. And it's about an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes tops. We got there, and we noticed after about 15 or 20 minutes, we started circling. We were circling, looking at one another and saying, what's going on? And Farvis Harper, who was working with the university at that time, came back, and as Brian said, Coach Holt sat on the aisle, I sat in the middle, and on this flight was James Curry, who sat next to the window. And he whispered something to Chris. Chris said, okay, nodded, and I didn't know who it was. Farvis went up, the next thing I saw, he went into the cockpit. So he came back out, sat down, and the pilot said words to this effect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you might understand, we've been up here in the air for a while, we're circling. And the reason we're doing that is because there's a heavy fog cover, and we're not sure that we can go into Flagstaff. But if we can't, we'll go out down to Sky Harbor, and we'll land there, and you can come back up. He no sooner got those words out of his mouth, my seatbelt went flying, one came on my lap, all took off, and he headed for the front of the plane. He's knocking on the door to get in the cockpit. I looked over to James, I said, James, I can tell you one thing, we're not going to Sky Harbor. So, Chris, after a couple minutes, comes out of the cockpit, sits down, fastens his seatbelt. I said, what's up, coach? He said, he'll tell you. So the pilot comes on and says, ladies and gentlemen, there's a fog cover, but what we're going to do, let me explain first of all. The airport of Flagstaff has a light, and the tower it's manned during the day, but after 6 o'clock at night, there's nobody in the tower. So there's nobody to talk to. So the pilot comes on and says, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to make an approach, so fasten your seatbelts, etc., and we're going to give it a shot. That's exactly the words he said, give it a shot. Now, the interesting thing is in Flagstaff, and I need to point this out, which I didn't earlier, in flying a DC-9 as we did, when it's fully loaded with all football players and equipment, you can fly in and land, but you can't take off. So in other words, if you don't hit the runway right and land, there's no chance. Because when the game's over, you do meet the buses, and you go to Sky Harbor, and you fly back from Sky Harbor. So we got one shot. Oh, well, just bring the story to conclusion. We dropped below 2,000 feet, clear as a bell. Clear as anything. The cover was only high. We go down and land, and there's so much snow there when we landed. We look out the window, you could not see anything but mounds of snow. The story was, we were either going to land, or we weren't going to Sky Harbor.
Well, Coach Owen is the man who brought the Fremont Cannon back on an airplane from Las Vegas. Well, I'm sure you have plenty of people you want to thank today.
I certainly do. Let me get up here. I've got some notes, and I certainly don't want to miss. But I'd like to start by thanking Doug Newth, who spoke tonight about how special this event is for athletics. And being the athletic director, he always says to me, I'm kind of the new guy, but I hope that some of the stories that maybe I'll relate to some of the things I've talked about, you'll get a little more information on people here. Not that I have the consummate Bible on it, but Doug, it's a great place to be, and I know you know that. I want to also thank the selection committee for giving me this honor. I've received some honors over the years, but this by far is right at the top of the list. But I wouldn't be here if it weren't for a couple of people that started me going. He's already been recognized tonight, and everybody knows his name, and he is Mr. University of Nevada Athletics, Dick Trajan. I can remember meeting with him. I met with him when we had your office in the old gym. And I sat down, and at that time there was a KOLO radio. So you got to be an old timer to remember KOLO radio. There's television now, but there was a KOLO radio. And Jack Slawpower had been my predecessor. He was going back to Wyoming to work with Cowboy. I see the real cowboy, Jim House, in the audience nodding because he was going back there. So they recommended that I take his place. So I interviewed with Dick, and Dick doesn't give his whole card away very often. And we talk. He said, well, you know what? We'll give it an opportunity. We'll get a chance. So I wouldn't have had that chance without Dick, obviously. Secondly was Chris Hall. When Pro Radio decided that they wanted to be the flagship, but they didn't want to pay fees anymore. And Chris came to me and he said, well, you've been doing these games for a long time. Can you pick up that mantle? Can you go out and sell this? And I said, absolutely. So he said, okay, if you can do that, you've got the job. So I thank those two. I also want to thank the people that nominated me tonight. 3 people that are very special in my life, and I thank them for being persistent with their nominations. The recently married, newlywed Don Marchand, Rick You know, I had the chance to work with so many outstanding coaches, and I will get to that in just a minute, and it won't be too long. A couple stories I want to tell you. I'm especially pleased that I saw a couple tonight that I wasn't sure were going to be here, but I prepared some of my thoughts about my time with them. But let me go through the list, if I can, of the people that worked with me and worked on the broadcast. You know, it's not done by one person by any stretch of the imagination. But some of these names I think will ring a bell with you. They sat in the seat next to me, or they sat in the booth with me. Clay Revenue, Glenn Carano, the aforementioned James Curry, Dana Wagner, Tom Sherry, Don Marchand, Stu Cole, Jack Kustermeyer. And the only stat man I ever had in my whole career, he's still with me. And every year he says he's going to retire, but he's still with me. And he's here tonight, the Rocket Ramsey. Hi, Rocket. And then the longest guy I had in seat number 2 next to me was Bill Daniel. And Bill, thank you for all the great work you did and all the time you spent. As I said, not one person does this, and so I want to take a little bit of time, a short time, to tell you some people that were special. They came here tonight, and they're the sponsors, the people that make this go. The people who work in the athletic department fully understand how important those people are, because you can have the best announcers, you can have the best radio station. If you don't have somebody with the ads to get those games on the air, it just doesn't get done. And he's a good friend of mine, and he's a recent grandfather for the very first time. John Morey from Morey Distributing. Dilly Dilly, John. When we started the post-game show, we went to this man and he said, sure, I'll back you, I'll be with you. And he's been with us, and he's just like John, great friends at the university, continued to support the university, supported me over the years. Stan Wilma from Heritage Bank. Stan. Two sponsors. The other one has been as loyal to us, to Melinda and I and our family, as he is to the Wolfpack and everybody else in Northern Nevada. They've been around for 125 years, and they'll be around for another 125. They were great sponsors of ours and great friends at the University of Nevada. Pete Savage and Savage and Son. Another one of my friends, and we worked together for years, and he said, you know what, I want to start my own business. I want to do advertising on my own. I want to start my own company. And he left on the best of terms, and we've been friends ever since then. He put a lot of sponsors on our show, and I was pleased that he could come tonight and be here, Mr. Jim Bowser. Jimmy? We have so many other friends that are here tonight, and I'm going to take a minute to mention a few of those. He came all the way from Louisiana. When I talked to him earlier, I said, can you make it? He said, I'm not sure about the weather and the hurricanes and so on, but the planes are flying, I'll be here, and he is here. You know him from the Nevada Interscholastic Activities Association. He was our executive director for years, Mr. Eddie Bona. Really personal friends of mine involved in the university, Steve Topol, who always tells me to this day, keep doing more, write stories, good things like that. Stevie, I appreciate you and your wife being here tonight. Thank you. Jim Greenwald, a doctor from the University of Nevada for years, and we were good buddies on the road. And there was a place that we went, we weren't sure where to eat, Greenie would find it. And he was a great friend at the university, continues to be so. And you know, 3 years ago I had some problems, I broke my back, and I'm back standing up straight because of Jim Greenwald and Greenie. Thank you, Greenie. You know, the guy I worked with really closely for 8 years, but he's been a friend of the university's in Chris Lawton for so many years. If you drive up there, you can't miss his name. His wife's name on the building along with him, and that's Mr. Mayor, Mr. Bob Cashel, and his wife Nancy. The lady who came here tonight, and a lot of you players know her and you thank her because she gave you meals on Thursday nights before games. She and her late husband, Joanne and Jim Nelson, fed players, well over 1,000 players. Every Thursday night they invite them to their house, they give them a home-cooked meal, and they're great fans and continue to be of the University of Nevada. Joanne, thanks for coming. Say that unpleasant because people stood up, they appreciated it then, they still appreciate you now. On a closer side of it, I'm very pleased that the only member of the Gustin family that's still on this side of the earth is my sister. She came up from the Bay Area. She doesn't travel too much, but she came up from the Bay Area. I'd like to welcome my sister Ingers, who is here. Our daughter Wanda came to the event too, so thank you very much. One person I'm talking about because he's so important in my life and has been for a long time, and that's Dr. Bill Daniel. We call him when we did broadcast the doctor of football. And I hope that the committee is listening right now and look at his credentials and look at what he has done for this university. He was a student, he was a football player, a coach, a broadcaster, and he continues to be a tireless advocate for the alumni football. Alumni football is made up of a lot of people. The guy who's in the middle of it, like the eye of the storm, is Bill Daniels. So Billy, thank you for everything. And lastly, the person that I need to thank the most is my wife of almost 35 years. We've been married 35 years in December, Melinda. You know, she was the one who kept our family sane during the times when you're on a plane on Wednesday or Thursday and you're back on Sunday for basketball. And they travel so much. And I figured it out one time. I racked up about 1,800,000 miles in just traveling. So she was the one who kept it together. And I didn't realize so much until after I retired in 2008. Fall of 2008, she said to me one weekend when I was around the house, she said, "It's really great to have you here and not traveling anymore." And I just stopped. I stopped and said, "You know what? I really appreciate that because I didn't at the time how selfish I was to go and do all those things I did and not realizing that the person at home was taking care of everything." So Melinda, thank you. That's my love. I don't want to be too long because there's other people coming up behind me, but you know, I mentioned the coaches that I worked with, and I was really pleased tonight to see Trent Johnson here because you know, the basketball program is really blowing and going out and doing so well, and this is the guy that came in and started it going. There's no doubt about it. When he interviewed, just to tell you what kind of class that was an interview, Paul Westphal was up there. The reason I know, I was one of the people that Chris Hall selected on the interview committee to say, okay, let's interview these guys, let's see what they have to say, and then I want your recommendations and I'll make the ultimate decision, which of course he did. And he was looking at Tom Asbury at the time. Some of you are basketball fans know him. He was at Pepperdine, he was at K-State. Well, Trent came in and he was so organized, knew so much about things that were happening at the university that could say, just sit down and cite the situation so well. And when it was all said and done, the decision was very, very easy. And I'm glad that we made it. Now let me tell you something else about Trent you don't know. If you've never ridden with him, you think, why do you become a basketball coach and not a NASCAR driver? Not about a heavy foot. Let me tell you a story. He always called me Gus. Still does. Call me tonight Gus. We're in Ruston, Louisiana after a basketball game against Montana. And Coach said, you know what? I got to get to Dallas. I got to get to Dallas tonight for whatever reason. We looked around and obviously there was no way the team could go and the coaches had to stay with the players. So he came over to me and said, Gus, what are you doing tonight? Going back to the room, going to sleep? Why? He said, we're going to Dallas. I said, why are we going to Dallas? Well, I got to get out there. I got to get up to Dallas. So I said, okay. So that time it's about 10:30, 11 o'clock. Now, if you've ever been on I-10 at night in Texas, you know that there are a lot of trucks, that kind of traffic, not many vehicles. I Googled it just to make sure I was right. It takes, according to Google, 4 hours and 18 minutes to get from Ruston to Dallas. If we were a minute over 3 hours, I would be surprised. Obviously, the Mounties were not out that night, Coach, because nobody stopped us. But, you know, and all the way there, I thought I was getting the car maybe sleeping. We talked basketball. Coach Trent Johnson, you know, it's a pleasure to know you, a pleasure to be around you. And great story. We love Ruston to get to Dallas. Thanks, my friend. A story earlier about Flagstaff, Arizona, and the one I want to mention about Sonny Allen also relates to Flagstaff, Arizona. There was a basketball player a lot of you would know about named B.B. Fontenette. And B.B. was a guy who was a gregarious, happy-go-lucky guy, and everybody loved B.B. And after he left the University of Nevada, he was ahead of the Skycaps at Skyhawk Airport. But before that, everybody knew B.B. So we're driving up to Flagstaff for the basketball game, and like the other basketball coach I mentioned, Sonny had kind of been led. He'd push the speeds a little bit. Sure enough, light goes on, pulls us over, cop comes inside the car, says, we see your driver's license, your insurance. And Sonny starts to suddenly go, well, you know, I'm just taking the boys and going to play some basketball. We're going up there. And I didn't mainly speak about it. It was Wilder here, so give me a minute. The cop looks in the car and he said, BB, is that you, BB? That BB fun today? Yeah, he said, Coach, just keep it down to the speed limit. Here you are, here's your license tag, take off. Lastly, I want to tell you about Gary Powers. I'm glad that he's being honored tonight. I'm glad I'm in his class because special individual. Gary and I have two specific things in common. We loved ice cream and we were older than anybody else on the team. So, what we would do when there was a night game, we'd go for a walk in the afternoon. You know, we'd talk about baseball and all kinds of things. No politics, just baseball. And we'd go enjoy one another. And then, when there were games during the day and night, we'd have dinner, he'd have one with the team, and then we'd meet up. And we'd always find an ice cream shop and we'd have some ice cream. Well, this particular day, it was a night game with San Jose State. And we were staying in Sunnyvale. So he said, hey, want to go for a walk? I said, sure, let's go for a walk. So we were walking 10, 15 minutes, turned into 20 minutes, we're back, we're in a neighborhood, 25 minutes. I said, Coach, do you know where we are? He said, no. I said, I think we're lost. He said, never mind, man, you always walk in circles because you get back and you walk in a circle. So, sure as hell we did. We kept walking about half an hour, and Coach, you got us back. Thank you very much. You know, the one story Chris West said he wanted to hear tonight, so I'll beg forgiveness and tell you one more story. I knew a lot of the officials because after the games, when all the fans were leaving, I was there doing the post-game show and so on, the referees would come out. And three of them rarely had a car. So I would give them a ride down the Eldorado or some Legacy where they were staying, and we got to know one another. And there were two stories. Scott Thornley, who you might know that name, he's done about 4 or 5 Final Fours. And we became very good friends, and we talked about things. And he said to me one time, he said, you know, Sonny Allen never gets off the bench and yells and screams. But if he does, and he comes to me and yells at me, he said, I know I missed him. I know I missed the call. So I thought that was quite a compliment. Secondly, the story that Chris West wanted to hear, and I'll conclude right with this, was there's a gentleman now who is an NFL referee. And you probably see him a lot. He's very officious, points straight with his finger. His name is Bill Vinovich. I don't know if that name rings a bell or not, but his dad, known as Billy Vinovich, and a fellow by the name of Jack Diddy, when there were two officials, when I first started, refereed most of Nevada's games somehow. I don't really got the games. But there was a game in Reno that was highly contested on the block shot and so on. So Bill Vinovich was taking the woodshed about it, and they were talking about it, and it never seemed to calm down. So years later, when the officials came out, they meet the people at the scorer's table, find out everything's right, they're introducing themselves, they go down the line, they introduce themselves to the announcers. And the kid stuck out his hand, he said, I'm Bill Vinovich. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, I knew your dad, so you must be son of Vinovich. Yeah,